Hello, everyone, and welcome to the intro episode for the Movie Wise podcast. I am your host, Dan Wise, and I am coming to you right now live via my living room. So the purpose of this intro podcast episode is to give you a little bit of insight as to what the podcast is going to be about, what we're going to be discussing on the podcast, what we're going to go over, different topics, things like that, and also just to kind of give you an insight as to who I am, why I'm making the podcast, and also why you should listen. So, again, my name is Dan Wise. I am 27 years old, and I am just an avid movie lover. I've loved movies ever since I was young. I probably watched movies at a young age that I shouldn't have been watching, but hey, I think we've all been down that road before. I think that movies are universally loved by most people, and it's one of those things where you're at a party, you shouldn't talk about politics, you shouldn't talk about religion, you shouldn't talk about certain topics that are taboo, but when it comes to movies, everyone has an opinion, and I definitely have some very opinionated opinions when it comes to movies. So we are going to be covering all those sorts of things on the podcast, my opinions on movies, and all sorts of other topics. I chose to do this podcast because movies, like I said, are a passion of mine, and I just figured, hey, why not? I'm going to take a chance on myself. Most people don't take chances on themselves to do these sorts of things. Most people won't sit down in front of a microphone and create something that they feel as a creative outlet. So I decided I was going to do that, and hey, if I get some views, I get some listens, some things like that, then I'll be happy. Again, this podcast is up in the air right now. Not up in the air as far as us doing it, but up in the air as the way it's going to be laid out and the way it's going to officially run all the time. So episode 1 might be very different than episode 12. Until we kind of get our footing, I'm just going to kind of go based on your guys' suggestions, some things that I find. I do have a basic idea and a layout of the way things are going to be, so I don't want you to think that this thing is just going to be hodgepodge together, but I do want your guys' suggestions, your guys' input, and things like that, so that we can always improve and make things better. Now, we will be uploading things to YouTube. YouTube is going to be a main source for you to be able to hear the podcast, sometimes hopefully see the podcast, and also maybe even see this face that is probably best suited for radio, but hey, we will cross that bridge when we get there. Now, I have not decided yet if I'm going to upload these to Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, those sorts of things. When I'm able to find that avenue, then I will probably do that as well. So if you like those for your listening pleasure instead of YouTube, by all means, you are able to listen there once I am able to upload there. But for now, we're going to stick to YouTube. I do also want to let you guys know while I'm on the topic of YouTube and social media that the podcast does have 2 social media platforms so far. We have a Twitter account. You can follow us at MovieWisePod. And we also have a Facebook page, and that's where I'm going to be most active. Facebook is, you can look us up, it's Movie Wise Podcast. I feel like Facebook just kind of gives me the best opportunity to hear your guys' opinions, create some polls, do some things like that so that you guys can kind of give me your feedback. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know how you feel the show is running, what I should do different, etc., etc. Also, down in the comment section here on YouTube, you can leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Now, the one thing I do not want is for viewers attacking other viewers or listeners attacking other listeners because of their points of views or opinions. It's one thing if you don't like me. If you don't like me, you don't have to listen. That's okay. My feelings won't be hurt because chances are I won't ever see your face other than I will see, that you listened on YouTube, but I won't ever see your face outside of the YouTube realm, maybe. Now, for my friends and family, if you don't listen, I will be thoroughly offended. Just kidding. So yeah, we're going to do this podcast, this intro episode, like I said, it's not going to be too long-winded. It's just going to be one of those things to kind of get the exposure out there, to let you guys know that the podcast is very much alive, that I am still here, and this podcast is chugging along. Now, how we're going to lay the episodes out, again, like I said, is going to be not 100% up in, set in stone, I should say, just yet. So that I'm going to leave that kind of up to you guys a little bit, in a sense, where I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear what you guys think. And I also want to know, just what you guys think about the show in general. So It might make me feel better, and it might make you feel a little bit better as well, giving somebody your feedback, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. The reason I chose to do this podcast, like I said, I'm taking a chance on doing this because it's a passion of mine, and if I even reach, 5 or 10 people, that's fantastic. But again, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I will continue to be passionate about. With the podcast, we are going to have guests on episodes. It might not be every episode, but we will definitely have guests. They are going to be people that I know love movies. People have already asked me if they could be on. And yes, of course, I would love to get everybody on at a certain point. So the people who have already reached out and asked if they could be on the show, of course, I would love to have you guys on the podcast so we can talk about your favorite movies, why you think my opinions are stupid, and things like that. Now, the people you're going to hear, they're great people, most of them, as far as I know, because I know them all personally. They're good people. We're going to have a good time, and hopefully we're going to get some laughs, maybe even some tears and things like that. Hopefully not tears, though. Now, I also want to hear from you guys about the way the show should be laid out, because the ideas I have now, you're going to hear a lot about the plot details of certain movies. So spoiler alert, there probably will be spoilers in episodes. So if you haven't seen the movies, that's why we have the social media accounts. I'm giving you guys usually about a week or so to get on the social media account, see what movie I'm going to be covering, maybe give you a sneak peek into, certain clips and things like that. That way you guys can take the time, go and watch the movie, and then listen to the episode. I don't want to spoil any movies for anybody because I know how I feel when somebody spoils movies for me. Now, the movies that we're going to be covering are going to be a wide array of things. It's going to be anything from new movies. So if it's something in theaters and you guys would like to hear my opinions about it, please let me know. I will go and see it, and I will let you know how I feel about it. We are going to cover movies that are older as well. I mean, it could be a year old, it could be 10 years old, it could be 12 years old. You never know. Just kind of how I'm feeling that day, and of course, tailored to the guests that I have on, depending on what they like to listen to, or, watch, I should say, what they like to watch, what they would like to talk about, and things like that. We're going to have different topics of episodes. We might do some spin-off style things where we do some different things where we ruin your favorite childhood movies. Dante Garland, here's talking to you, and things like that. So we definitely have some things in the pipeline, definitely some things coming down. Now, on episodes, we're going to talk about the director, their style, what's our favorite scene from the movie, most quotable or favorite lines from the movie, just maybe the casting, how it could have been, like, if someone should have been casted in the role, or if someone was in talks to be casted for a certain role, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about different news and rumors surrounding the movie. If it's new, obviously, maybe we'll do an episode about that standalone Joker movie that's supposed to begin production in September, starring none other than Joaquin Phoenix himself, who everyone thought went crazy, but apparently didn't, even though he is playing the craziest villain of all time. Again, that's a topic for another day, but we're going to discuss things like that. We're going to get into those sorts of things, and at the same time, the main idea of this podcast is just to have a good time. It's to enjoy ourselves, to enjoy the process, and also to just make sure that everyone who loves movies gets a chance to hear an outlet. I want to thank everyone who is listening to this. I want to thank everyone who's taking the time out of their day to listen to me talk just about, hey, this is what's going to be going on and things like that. And again, I want you guys to have a voice. So the best way to have that voice is if you subscribe to the channel, click that notification button so that you know every time I upload something to YouTube. Go and follow the Facebook page and the Twitter page. Make sure that you're leaving your comments, your concerns, I guess, things like that. Leave those there so that I know going forward what you guys would like to hear. And yeah, that's really about it. I want to thank my friends and family for, kind of giving me this push to do something that I care about. I know we all get busy with work and life, and sometimes we don't take the time out to enjoy the things that we really do love. And I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for me to have a creative outlet, also give you guys a little bit of my opinion. And if you feel like listening to me, that's awesome. If you don't feel like listening to me, hey, that's your right as well. I'm not going to be mad at you, but again, I would really appreciate it, and hopefully this podcast is going to gain some traction over the coming months and things like that. I am, I'm very influenced by a lot of different podcasts. There's the Rewatchables on Spotify, which is fantastic. It's Bill Simmons, who is a sports writer in Boston. If you guys don't know who he is, he's awesome. He has some great guests on there, and he talks about the most rewatchable movies, slash film, things like that. Just a lot of different great movie podcasts that are out there. And hopefully one day I am something that you guys will consider a great movie podcast. If anything, come from my personality. A lot of you guys out there listening probably already know who I am. And if you want to listen to me talk for a little bit about movies and stuff like that, then you guys have always been a supporter of mine, so I will be a supporter of yours. So yeah, that is about it for this episode. Again, if you guys have any suggestions, comments about what the show should entail, maybe any ideas, I will definitely give credit where credit is due. I do want to thank Brian DeBross. He did make that awesome MovieWise podcast logo that you see, so that is fantastic. He's also working on some other art for me, so if Brian, you're out there, I do appreciate everything you've done so far, and you've done it pro bono, and don't worry if I get big, hopefully you don't sue me like you said. I also want to go ahead and just thank you all so much for listening and supporting. I want to thank Alex Smith. If you're out there listening, you had some great ideas as far as the title and the name goes. Ted Palmer, I know you're going to say that you contributed 100% to the name. I don't recollect it that way, but hey, if you do, that's awesome, man. So yeah, again, this is the MovieWise podcast. This is your intro episode. My name is Dan Wise. If I forgot to thank anyone specifically for your ideas and things like that, I do apologize. I will get to you in another episode. So please comment. Please follow. The links will be on the Facebook page, the Twitter page, my personal Facebook page. You'll see it here on YouTube. So please take the time out of your day to follow me all on these social media platforms. And we will be back. I will keep you guys updated as to when the next episode will be and what movie we will be covering. And on that note, I would like you guys to leave some suggestions of what movie you would like to see me cover. And then I will probably create a poll on the Facebook page going from there to kind of narrow it down, because there's a lot of movies out there and so little time. Again, this has been the intro episode of the MovieWise podcast. I'm going to get out of here for the day. You guys have a great one, and thank you so much for listening.